So, welcome everyone to today's webinar. Today, we're going to talk and showcase Intelligent Document Processing, or IDP for short. We have Frida and I, whom are today presenting the different subtopics in this field. But first, we have a poll, and we would like you to answer a few questions which would allow us to get a better understanding of our current knowledge base. All the answers are anonymous. You can also write questions in the chat, which will only be visible to us and will be addressed at the end of this presentation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us in the chat. Now, run the polls. I'm going to wait a few more seconds before we'll end the poll. So far, 25 have answered the poll. Okay, 1 minute has gone. I think that's good enough. So let's begin. Who are we? We are AKOA, which stands for Another Kind of Automation. We are located in 8 cities in Europe and the United States. We are experts in digital workforce augmentation with over 200 plus satisfied customers worldwide. We have over 900 plus developed automation processes to date. We are working with multiple automation technologies such as RPA, IDP, AI, process mining, test automation, AI chatbots, and many more. We have deep expertise from both the public and private sectors. We have experience in several industries such as forestry, manufacturing, education, financial services, hospitality, transportation, and many more. We have iterated and reiterated a solid way of working for developing digital workforce augmentation. We have deep automation expertise within several different business functions, such as HR, finance, procurement, IT, and customer service. The AKOA Automation Cloud hosts over 150 plus automated processes. We are the only UiPath partner in Europe that has been awarded both the UiPath Diamond Partnership and the UiPath Professional Service Partnership. We're also one of the first UiPath certified training partners in Europe. So this is me. My name is Dennis. I'm born and raised in Stockholm, Sweden. I have a background in computer science and engineering with an ongoing master's in industrial management at the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm. I previously worked in the financial market, but I am now shifted towards consultancy. Here are some of my areas of expertise. I've done large-scale RPA implementations. I've created and scaled up multiple RPA Center of Excellences. I have advanced level of experience in both UiPath and Blue Prism. And I started at AKOA in 2018, and I worked with a variety of different clients from public to private sectors. I'm also a Blue Prism lead, knowledge manager, and a pre-sale manager here. And now we're going to leave the way for Frida, my partner in this presentation.
Thank you, Dennis, and thank you to everyone for joining today. Glad to see so many of you can make it. My name is Frida Schildra, and I'm here to talk about the IDP tool, ABBYY FlexiCapture, as well as how AKOA works with IDP projects. A little about me, I have a background as a project manager, as well as previously worked within go-to-market strategies within startups. Officially, I'm from Strömstad, which is a very small town on the western coast of Sweden, just by the border to Norway. But I've lived in Gothenburg the last 10 years when I've also done my bachelor's degree and my master's degree within informatics, I might add. I am working as an automation consultant at AKOA since 2019. And just as Dennis, I've worked with RPA projects, both within the private and the public sector, and both within Blue Prism and UiPath. I'm also a development lead, knowledge manager, and pre-sale manager over ABBYY FlexiCapture, where I am managing our ways of working and best practices when it comes to our ABBYY projects, which is what I will talk about today. But first, back to you, Dennis.
Many thanks, Frida. So this is what we will cover during this webinar. We will discuss what is intelligent document processing, how can your organization leverage from it, what IDP solution do we from AKOA offer. Then Frida will talk about ABBYY FlexiCapture and how AKOA works with IDP, as she mentioned. Afterwards, I will continue with UiPath document understanding and play a demo for you all. Lastly, we will dig deeper into the future of IDP before rounding off this webinar by answering any question that may have arisen during this presentation. So let's start with the first topic. What is intelligent document processing? Intelligent document processing, or IDP, is any software product or solution that captures data from documents, for example, emails, different types of texts, PDFs, and scanned documents, categorizes and extracts relevant data for further processing using artificial intelligence such as computer vision, optical character recognition, natural language processing, and machine/deep learning. Here are some potential scenarios of when to use IDP. When there are high volume of documents to handle. When there are unstructured documents such as email, agreements, and so forth. When you're planning to handle documents with multiple languages. When you have documents with handwritten text, forms, and checkboxes. When you need to read tabular data in documents. When there are multiple documents formats to process. When you need to clarify that documents are signed. When you're checking that all pages are counted for. These are some of many examples of the typical scenarios to use IDP. So this then leads us to the next area of how can your organization leverage from IDP. Now, we will quickly look into the estimation of the IDP market to understand the growing trends and business needs of IDP. The Everest Group, which is a research firm within IT, business processes, and engineering services, are reporting that the IDP market generated nearly $500 million in revenues in 2019 and grew nearly 60% between 2018 and 2019. The COVID-19 crisis did have an impact on the market, but nevertheless, there has been an increase and there is projected increase of the IDP market and the need of these types of solutions. The majority of IDP solutions can be leveraged in multitudes of industries, but the major adopters of IDP solutions are banking, financial services, insurance, and healthcare enterprises. Here we have seen a growth with over 50% in IDP solution. Some of the typical use cases include customer onboarding, mortgage processing, trade financing, and claims processing. Then this leads us to the market drivers of IDP, which are as follows. We look into the increase in client expectations, assisting with the ever-changing business regulations, and removing tedious manual processes of documents. IDP solves all of this by providing awareness and solution to meet the growing client expectations, by keeping up with change, providing transparency to combat the ever-changing business regulations, and through automating processes, we improve workplaces for all by eliminating these tedious document processing. So now we come into what IDP solution does AKOA offer. In front of you are all of our technologies that we offer and work with. A few of these are RPA platforms such as UiPath and Blue Prism, and some are oriented towards chatbots and IDP. Our offerings within IDP are UiPath's Document Understanding, ABBYY Flexi Capture, and Automation Anywhere. Amazing tools with great benefits for your organization and customers. Here are the current IDP vendors in the market in 2021, a great depiction of the current IDP offerings. There are many contenders, but a few leaders within IDP, where both ABBYY and Automation Anywhere have been priced as one of the highest in both market impact as well as vision and capability. And now we're going to leave the way for the first platform to investigate, the ABBYY Flexi Capture. I'm going to hand this over then to Frida, who will look deeper into ABBYY.
All right, thank you, Dennis. I will just take a second to share my screen. And I would like you to verify that is looking all right.
Yes, looks right.
All right, and you can hear me good. All right, let's get into ABBYY Flexi Capture. What is it? How does it work? And what kind of value can it provide for your organization? The short version is that it identifies documents, it captures business critical data, and then it delivers the data into business processes. But today we're going to take much more of a deeper dive than that. So ABBYY Flexi Capture is an enterprise scale intelligent document processing platform. It brings together natural language processing, machine learning, and advanced recognition capabilities into a single platform. This makes it able to handle every type of document from simple forms to complex freeform documents, and every job size from ad hoc single documents to large batch jobs requiring tough SLAs. It provides visibility into data and processes, and this is done through monitoring tools and reports on key parameters, including resources, performance, and accuracy. Thus, it can provide process transparency and predictability while giving administrators insight to opportunities for improvement. It works through intelligent data extraction by using natural language processing technology. It automates the identification and extraction of content from unstructured documents like contracts, leases, emails, and correspondence. By leveraging NLP, Flexi Capture customers can now automate the extraction of data from complex documents along with structured and semi-structured documents, helping to accelerate transactions while significantly reducing operating costs and errors. It provides data validation and control, where critical data fields, contexts, and entities are identified, validated, and automatically processed according to business rules and requirements. The system can be easily trained and uses ongoing machine learning for continuous improvement and cost control. It lastly provides multi-level document classification. This means that it can automate the task of understanding, separating, and routing documents through AI-based classifiers that are trained automatically using the latest machine learning methods. Flexi Capture can help you reduce your document handling costs while accelerating the process itself. No more manual sorting and labeling needed. So when is it beneficial? As previously established, this type of technology can be used in processes high and low and with a high level of variability in both types of business processes as well as industries. These usage scenarios are just examples to spark some thought in where it could be beneficial for you. From our part, we see a lot of interest in order processing, backend systems integration, invoice processing all kinds of forms and applications, any process that contains a high volume of documents. And I would also like to mention that that can be if it is a higher volume at one point in a year. It doesn't have to be a consistent flow, but as long as it is a high volume, maybe it's just 1 month a year where it's a lot. That is something that we see a lot. But the possibilities stretch well beyond what is concluded in this presentation. It is also very scalable, so it can be used for thousands of documents a year up into the millions of documents every year. So let's look into some benefits we've seen from FlexiCapture projects. By orchestrating the process from acquisition to delivery, FlexiCapture feeds content-driven business applications such as RPA and BPM, helping organizations focus on customer service, cost reduction, compliance, and achieving competitive advantage. And that way we can offer faster, straight-through processing, smoother transactions, enabling smart decisions by making data available quicker and in a larger way when it comes to monitoring and more rapidly. It also provides control, predictability, and compliance. It can process any kind of documents if we look into more of the benefits of the product itself in one and the same process stream, which I will go into more further along. It lowers operational costs through process automation. In terms of accessibility, it has web-based components where it is easy to interact and monitor the process, which provides a lot of information that can be crucial for the organization. It easily facilitates data and rule compliance checks. It offers uninterrupted business processing and speeds up business decisions and actions. It can decrease bottlenecks and speed up the processes, increase revenue, lower operation costs, as well as higher employee satisfaction. So if we look into the functionality, it offers a wide range that can be specifically tailored towards your needs to capture, extract, and classify, as well as direct different documents towards different workflows. As the name suggests, the software is very flexible in terms of what kind of documents it can process, as well as which steps you want to include in the processing. And we'll get more into that in a minute. First of all, we can extract text from images of various different formats and from multiple different sources. The documents can be classified, extracted, verified, and exported depending on what rule is connected to the document type. Data can be modified and validating by using rules, and this can be done several different ways. For instance, we can check the document structure to make sure that no pages are missing. If we have an application form, for instance, to make sure that everything that is supposed to be there is there. We can check the data format to make sure that no data is missing. We can check the connections between data in different fields to make sure that the data integrity is maintained. We can compare fields, such as compare the rows of a table to the total sum at the bottom of the table to make sure that everything is correct. If we, for instance, want to compare the lines of an entire table from an order to the total sum at the bottom to make sure that everything is correctly extracted. You can use either built-in out-of-the-box rules from ABBYY FlexiCapture modules, or you can customize your own. You can also do both at the same time, where you use rules from the module as well as add your own or modify the out-of-the-box ones. We can, for instance, do a database check, an example to check to make sure that a recognized value exists in the database. If we have an invoice and we want to make sure that this vendor is also in our database, we can do a quick check with ABBYY FlexiCapture. It also provides the opportunity to extract different types of data, such as handwritten text, data tables, checkboxes, signatures, and so on. We can use tools for image enhancements, and this is a very good feature, in my opinion, to better our results by tidying up the imported files and make them look a bit better. And this enables us to take the document and increase the quality of the document to better our capacity to extract whatever is in the document, to make it a bit more sharper and to maybe straighten out something if it wasn't scanned in properly. As I will be talking more about in the next slide, it also offers the opportunity to interact with the software by manual verification, which in turn can train the software for future processing. It is also constantly expanding their packages of dictionary for text recognition, as well as their capacity to process documents in different languages. So how does it work? And here we are really going into the nitty-gritty. So it is a powerful data capture and document processing solution designed to transform the streams of documents into business-ready data. The processing cycle begins with importing a document, and it ends with exporting recognized data to another, for instance, to another automation technology such as RPA, into an ERP system, or whatever your destination of export is. The processing procedure, the sequence of processing steps, is the same for all documents, independent of format or input channel. All document batches can follow the same steps, but they can take different directions depending on the rules, the quality gate, the destination, and so on. In terms of user interaction, it has a multi-tenant architecture, so it is possible to customize the usage depending on which role the user aspires. ABBYY also has an interface to provide thorough monitoring and reporting throughout the whole process. The architecture is also scalable through system configuration modifications. Now, this process might as well be a timeline between the stages of extraction, but I wanted to push on the possibility for ABBYY to improve over time. It can look different for different projects, where some have more steps of validation and even several levels of validation from several different users. It can also be pretty straightforward with minimal validation. It depends on the product. A general process within FlexiCapture could look like this. We start with a bunch of different document batches in a multi-channel input. We can get this input from a mailbox, from a hot folder, from FTP. This is very flexible. But let's say that we have a folder where anything goes. So this document can be of several different types, and ABBYY has to know which one it is by looking at it. It supports many different formats. So if you want to have a PDF or a EIF or an HTML file, it supports a lot of different formats with it, which is maybe not the most exciting thing to hear getting read up right now. Document batches enters the different stages of processing within the different components of ABBYY. The software recognizes which type of document it is, captures the content to provide the foundation to be able to classify the document type. For instance, it might recognize that, okay, this document is an invoice, and it starts mapping out the different fields that it knows that it is supposed to get from an invoice, such as invoice number and a supplier name. And in the next step, it runs through the documents to match all the fields it is controlling to make sure that all the rules that it has applies, and has been taught to validate all the information that it is getting. And when that is done, the data is sent through to validation, which, as I said, can be formed by different approaches. As the documents are validated, the document moves along to export with the documents assembled and sorted by the classification. Each document in turn is broken down into all the data fields we want to take with us. For instance, if we have an invoice, we have applied all the quality checks and fields we need from it. From there, the document is exported to whatever the target is. It can be an integration with a backend systems, or as I said before, an automation connector like an RPA solution, or all of the above. It can also do all of them at the same time if that's what you want. And as just as import, the export also has a large variation of possible formats. So as you might have gathered this far, this is a very flexible solution that can have many different approaches, as there are just as many different approaches as there are business processes. So when we start looking into an IDP project, we start by looking at your needs and we work from there. We can say that it's in general 4 groups of solutions that or 4 different approaches that we start with depending on your needs when it comes to ABBYY FlexiCapture projects. Specifically for invoices and orders, you can get a predefined module that is trained by neural networks to handle a large variation of invoices and orders, which we know can come in all kinds of forms and structures. For more custom solutions, we can build a flexi layout that can handle whatever type of document you want to work with. For individual modules, we assist in building a large scale module to handle, for instance, a larger set of variations of documents and a varied structure. This can be, for instance, setting up an automated classifier that is trained over time to expand your capabilities to handle more as it goes. For completely structured documents, we can set up a document definition solution customized to exactly what you want to extract. And this can be great if you, for instance, have large sets of forms to extract. So let's move along to how AKOA works with IDP projects. So AKOA is a platform independent company that works with multiple different partners that enables us to customize a solution directly tailored to a specific automation need. With our experience of automation through technologies such as RPAs and chatbots and our wide range of partners, we look at each project with open eyes to find the best fit. With IDP in our collections of competence, it extends our capacity for end-to-end automation where 1 + 1 can be 10. By combining different automation technologies, we can go beyond the capacity mentioned thus far and add in extra functionality in sources, destinations, data manipulation and data validation, as well as integration with other technologies and systems and so on. This is one example on how it can look in practice, where RPA can handle, in this example, the execution and monitoring by using products such as IDP, in this case, FlexiCapture. We can extend the process automation scope and take a larger grip on the process. We could also might as well have the robot at the other end of the spectrum, feeding the IDP solution with documents for it to process further. A common solution is that the robot receives the process document and continues processing the data in another application. In example, processing an application after all data has been extracted from it. If it has extracted, for instance, a application for a loan, and then the RPA robot takes the extracted data and starts entering it into another system or something like that. If you spark your imagination. So before we move on to Dennis' presentation of another IDP tool, we are going to talk quickly about how to create an automation project. And to create an automation project with longevity and sustainability, AKOA has a thorough process for analyzing and developing automation projects. To build a solid foundation is crucial to be able to maintain as well as scale the automation. We also provide a large part of the maintenance as a cloud service, so you can focus on expanding your automation while we handle the software updates and monitoring of your processes. So when it comes to IDP project, a lot of effort goes into the analysis and the design of the solution. We need to consider different aspects of documents to determine the level of complexity, define the formats, define possible variations in structure. The more structure, the less complexity, but it also depends on the variations of possible documents that can come in. We need to define, scope, and categorize the intended output data. We need to define variations in graphical layout and placements of data, and also the quality of the pages and clarity of the text. Also, if there can be handwritten text, which increases complexity. and so on. So with this, we are much more equipped to properly design and build the automated solution. We also work with thorough and continuous testing to make sure the abilities of the solution matches the defined scope and performs in accordance to our quality measures. As we go over to the maintenance phase, we give you tools you need to internally manage the solution. If it's, for instance, an ABBYY project, we will assist you in training the end user to be able to work with ABBYY's tools to, for instance, verify the input. And when it is in a steady state, we can start looking into establishing abilities to expand automation capabilities to support continuous growth of intelligent abilities by increasing, for instance, data set and mapping out new variations and patterns. And now back to you, Dennis, to talk about another IDP solution that you can work with. Thank you.
Thank you, Frida. Let's see here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Then I'll continue from here. Let's see. So Frida has now discussed ABBYY and also our AKOA cloud services. I'll now move towards UiPath and their product offering called Document Understanding, or DU for short. So before we jump into the DU itself, we're going to talk quickly about hyperautomation. What is hyperautomation? Hyperautomation brings together several components of process automation, integrating tools and technologies that amplify the ability to automate work. It starts with robotic process automation at its core and expands automation capability with artificial intelligence, process mining, analytics, and other advanced tools. The idea is to automate more and more knowledge work and engage everyone in the organization to be part of the transformation. UiPath have many connections between other applications and their own product stack that they're offering. One of their own IDP solution is Document Understanding, which we'll talk about now. UiPath Document Understanding pairs RPA and AI to automatically process your documents. It enables intelligent document processing within automation workflows, thus allowing automation of complex and cognitive processes, which are usually highly manual. In particular, Document Understanding can cope with tricky details like various structured documents like invoices, bills, and forms, and so forth. A wide variety of less structured documents with varying layouts, for example, bills, invoices, receipts. It can also handle handwriting, signatures, and checkboxes, and also different file formats such as PDF, PNG, GIF, JPEG, BMP, and so forth. It should and can also work with skewed, rotated, unrelated, and low-resolution scanned documents. Document Understanding provides a composable framework of drag-and-drop activities used to build end-to-end workflows in Studio. This way, UiPath RPA platform enables automation of more complex and cognitive processes involving high volumes of documents. In addition to the native capabilities, you can bring your own models and incorporate leading partner solution, extending the framework to diverse document types and business needs. Extractor based on rules, anchors, and intelligent templates perfectly handle documents with fixed structure, tables, handwriting, signatures, checkboxes, etc. Pre-trained machine learning models can process less structured documents with minimal configuration time. Finally, you can combine any extractors in a hybrid approach to ensure the highest accuracy for your custom business documents. To help robots deal with low extraction accuracy and exceptions, employees can validate the extracted data using validation station in the UiPath Action Center. An employee receives notification with a request to validate data or handle exceptions and can solve any uncertainties in a matter of clicks. They can use the validation stations to review the extracted fields if needed to make sure that the data is extracted accurately. You can label documents in Data Manager and retrain machine learning models in AI Center to help robots understand the specificities of your documents. My apologies. Similarly, the models can be retrained automatically based on the human input in the validation station. This means that the more you work with the model, the more effective it becomes. Thus, the accuracy of the output improves over time. So how does it work? The following steps indicates how document understanding processes documents. First, it loads taxonomy. Here we define documents and data to be processed using something called Taxonomy Manager in UiPath. After that, we digitize the document using one of the available optical character recognition engines to digitize the text and determine the different locations that is within the text. We also then do classification, where we classify the document from the user-specified list of classification points. We then extract data, where we choose the most suitable extractors according to your document types. Then the optional validate comes in here. So if needed, a human can check in to confirm or correct the extracted data or handle exceptions. And lastly, we of course export the data, sending this extracted information for further usage, for example, to email, put in a spreadsheet, or in an SAP software. And now we'll move away from a quick understanding of what document understanding is to a little demo of the tool itself. The demo itself does not have any audio, and I will pause a few times to explain what is happening. We're also using, sadly, some sensitive data, which has then been blurred to hide this. Let me see if I can play this. So this is how it looks like from UiPath's side. As discussed before, one of the first steps we do is to digitize the document using UiPath's own OCR engine. From there, we'll load the so-called taxonomy to know where are the locations in the documents to extract the data. From there, we classify the document and sending it now currently to the UiPath's own cloud service to classify and see what type of document is this, to separate the documents depending on the type. Here we have our optional, as we call it, classification station or validation station, as mentioned before, to allow humans to validate the input. Lastly, we have the extraction scope here, which extracts the data from the documents. Before, we also presented a validation station for human to change if anything is off. And then we export the extraction results. And later, and hopefully this will show in the demo here, it will also be exported to an Excel. I'm going to run this script and we'll see quickly how this looks like. Right now, it's digitizing the document. Now loading taxonomy, classify the document, and now we're getting this classification station. And when it comes into screen, I will pause. I'm going to pause here. As you can see, I've blurred out the document to hide any sensitive data that we have in here. What it does show, though, is the document that is found or received and what type of document it is. Has it classified this document correctly? It'll also showcase what percentage of certainty it has that this document is this specific type of the many document types that might have been specified. It does not have to be, let's say, a 4-page invoice. It can also be used one of those sites from those 4 pages that are included, and it will still be able to determine which one it belongs to. So the human would get something like this in Action Center, where they say, okay, that seems correct, because maybe the robot has very low uncertainty and does need some validation to it. I'm going to pause soon again when this pops up. So in front of you, let's see, there we go. So in front of you is the second validation station. First one was when it was classifying the documents. Second one now is showing when it has extracted the data to present what has it extracted. Here we can quickly see in the documents the different areas of the documents that it's been able to extract from. And in here, we'll be able then to see which fields and what value have you received from it. And as well, of course, the percentage of certainty revolving it. As you can see, this is probably more of a scanned document with values in here. And surprisingly as well, hopefully if it goes down, we'll see that even some of the handwritten digits is able to process, and it's getting high accuracy of processing those digits. This works seamlessly with UiPath platform, and there are modules included when buying the license that allows for this type of automation of documents. Now everything's incorrect, or if you want to change something, you say okay. And I think that's the demo to showcase how document understanding works. And yeah, finishing off in here. So if we move now to the future of IDP, what are the next steps in this hyper automation? In the report by Everest Group, they showcase the outlook of the IDP market for 2020 and 2021. And some of the trends for the coming year include package-based IDP solution to be quickly implemented by the increasing need for faster deployment, moving towards cloud-based solution as seen as a result of the global pandemic and the future way of working, and then enhanced product capabilities such as pre-trained models and user-friendly interfaces to make the IDP adoption more attractive in any industry. To round everything off now, all of these technologies and services AKOA can provide. We have extremely skilled developers and a flawless automation platform and service desk. We can assist in service, in software and infrastructure, and in all phases of development, automation, and consultancy. And now, many thanks for listening to this presentation. Again, if you have any question, please feel free to ask us in the chat.